Hello and welcome to the Cryptocurrency News channel. Well, we got some bad news, people. The CFTC chair seems to be surrendering to the SEC because of the whole FTX fiasco. And he has said only Bitcoin should be considered a commodity, agreeing with essentially the SEC views. Now, originally the SEC and the CFTC were actually fighting over jurisdiction over cryptocurrencies, but it seems like the CFTC chair is ceding the debate. Now, this definitely could have an effect on the Ripple case as public sentiment is really leaning towards cryptocurrencies besides Bitcoin being a security. So if you want to be safe and you want to buy crypto, Bitcoin may actually be the way to go. It's not financial advice, but you just got to look at some of the realities on the ground. And other cryptos can definitely be considered a security under these premises. Now, Bitcoin is proof of work, and Ethereum, after going to proof of stake, might actually be considered a security. We don't really know. And also, he's also trying to dispel the notion that the CFTC is a friendlier regulator than the SEC. You still have to register with the CFTC, but they always are looked at as a friendlier regulator than the SEC. But like if you want your cryptos to actually be traded in the future, they might have to register with the SEC, and that would actually bar them from certain use cases. So some of your cryptos might have to basically go offshore. Now, there actually might be a theory right now that the SEC engineered this entire thing to basically win its case with XRP. I don't really believe that because it's a little too complex to actually engineer something like this, but I know it's going to be out there right now, that kind of theory. So one reason they kind of have basically given up on this against the SEC is because they were actually going to be funded from basically like a Spankman-Fried champion bill. And obviously that doesn't really look all that well for the CFTC right now. No mention of Gary Gensler actually working with FTX just months before the collapse. So the CFTC was also poised to receive increased funding and oversight. This is from Fortune Crypto, Fortune Magazine, and oversight capacity through proposed Senate legislation, which was championed by SBF. And obviously, anything tied to SBF right now is kind of toxic. And he's trying to distance himself away from that because people actually know that. Now, there was a conference that was funded by Joseph Lubin from Ethereum, Michael Novogratz, which I think is kind of like Galaxy Digital, Peter Breger, and Daniel Moorhead, who are all in attendance. But despite that, it's being funded by Joseph Lubin. He said that only Bitcoin was to be a commodity, which Joseph Lubin probably did not like. And, Bankman-Fried was supposed to be the keynote speaker, but obviously they canceled that. And instead, the panel was called The Demise of FTX and Other Crypto Entities. Now, I think Lubin already knew about this, and I'm not really sure what he has in plan for Ethereum, but I do think Ethereum might be able to actually survive as a security. Now, the thing about Ethereum as a security is you don't really use ETH for direct payments, so it may not be impacted as much, but it would be a huge hassle for exchanges to actually list ETH. And I do think there's several coins that could actually register as a security and continue to actually survive. Of course, the CFTC was defending their actions as a commission, citing that they didn't have enough funds. So there's a lot going into this, but basically because of the FTX thing, it does look like the CFTC is going to hand jurisdiction over to the SEC. Of course, the only thing really standing in the way is the Ripple lawsuit. If they end up losing that lawsuit because of the FTX thing, we could really be in for a very hard time in crypto. Bitcoin could actually go up quite a bit, but it would be very bad for the altcoins that don't register as securities. And I'm not really sure how many altcoins would actually bother registering as securities. The US market is very large. And like I said, not all crypto use cases would actually be denied as securities, but a lot of them actually would be. I don't know how soon regulation will actually come in. I'm hoping it's actually after the next bull market so I can actually sell out. I would probably continue running this channel, reporting, because I do think some of those coins would actually be able to register as securities, although a lot of them would not be able to. I do think the U.S. Congress and lawmakers should actually be careful about being way too restrictive on cryptocurrencies. And I do actually think that cryptos need to have their own asset class called digital assets that's under the purview of another kind of like a commission instead of the SEC or the CFTC. Because if they go too harsh on crypto regulations, what's going to actually happen is that people are going to use VPNs and access DEXs outside the United States, which would actually make the country actually lose revenue, which would actually make the country like lose revenue via taxes and make it harder to regulate. So the U.S. does need to be careful of such things actually happening. So that's what I have to say on the issue, but it does look like we're going the securities route, unfortunately, for many cryptos besides Bitcoin. And this might not bode well for Ripple and their lawsuit, which would not bode well for all altcoins. So that's the news for today. Let me know what you think. Like and subscribe. Hit that bell notifications button. Thank you and have a nice day.